Execute Operation Improvisation. The words hung in the air as the bridge crew stared at Admiral Chen in disbelief. Commander Jackson, her XO for 7 years, approached her station. With all due respect, "Admiral, that's not a real protocol," he whispered. "The Joint Chiefs will have your commission for abandoning standard engagement procedures." Chen's eyes remained fixed on the tactical display, where the Vexlori ships had already arranged themselves in a textbook containment formation. "If we follow procedure, we die like Mars Colony. If I still have a commission tomorrow, I'll happily face the court-martial." She turned to communications. "Lieutenant Patel, patch me through to all Earth defense vessels. Encrypted channel. Frequency shifting based on the Fibonacci sequence." "That's not in any manual, ma'am." "Exactly." Chen's fingers danced across her console, pulling up an old file. "Upload this to all ships." Lieutenant Patel's eyes widened as music filled her earpiece. "Ma'am, this is John Coltrane, Giant Steps. The most unpredictable jazz progression ever recorded. I want our fleet movements to follow that pattern." Chen stood, addressing the bridge. "The Vexlori predict our responses because they've studied our protocols. Our strength has become our weakness, so we abandon protocol entirely." The Thunder Soul's bridge erupted into controlled chaos as officers adapted to the radical strategy. Weapons Officer Leif Olson, usually stoic, actually smiled as he reconfigured targeting systems to fire in syncopation with Coltrane's saxophone. On the main viewer, the first Vexlori transport ships descended toward Earth's atmosphere. Time was running out. "All stations, prepare for Soul Sync activation. Helm, plot an intercept course using the Coltrane pattern," Chen ordered, strapping herself into her command chair. "And someone get me Fleet Admiral Tanaka." The grizzled face of Fleet Admiral Tanaka appeared on screen seconds later. "Chen, what the hell are you doing? Return to formation immediately." "Sir, with respect, their ships are predicting our movements with 99.8% accuracy. They'd broken all our codes. Standard tactics will fail." Tanaka's face darkened. "You have evidence of this." "Mars Colony is your evidence, sir. They followed every protocol perfectly. They were wiped out in 6 minutes. Chen leaned forward. "I need 3 minutes to test my theory. If I'm wrong, court-martial me. If I'm right, implement Operation Improvisation fleet-wide." A tense silence hung between them before Tanaka nodded once. 3 minutes, Chen. Make them count." The connection terminated as the Thunder Soul surged forward, breaking formation in a spiraling maneuver that precisely followed the unpredictable jazz progression pumping through the ship's speakers. On the tactical display, confusion rippled through the alien fleet. 2 massive Vexlori vessels adjusted position to intercept, but they targeted where the Thunder Soul should have been according to human naval doctrine, not where it actually was. "We've got them," Chen whispered, a fierce smile spreading across her face. "They can't predict what we don't know ourselves." The Thunder Soul banked sharply, weaving between massive alien vessels that failed to adjust quickly enough. Point defense systems fired in chaotic, jazz-inspired bursts that confused the Vexlori targeting systems. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Patel, "I'm detecting unusual electromagnetic patterns from the alien ships. It's like they're communicating more frantically." "We've disrupted their probability models," Chen said. "Time to really throw them off balance. Activate Soul Sync systems, Level 1 integration only, and prepare to broadcast our response to their surrender demand." As the neural interface tendrils descended from the ceiling, connecting each bridge officer to the ship's systems, Chen recorded her message to the Vexlori. The transmission was short, just Chen playing her grandfather's trumpet in a wild, improvised melody that no algorithm could predict, followed by 6 words. "Humanity doesn't surrender. Humanity improvises." The Thunder Soul accelerated toward the heart of the alien fleet, ready to deliver the first truly human response to the cosmos. As Dizzy Gillespie's improvised trumpet solo, "Night in Tunisia," thundered through the neural interface. The Thunder Soul began to move in ways no spacecraft ever had before. The neural tendrils pulsed with soft blue light as they connected to the base of each crew member's skull. Most had never experienced full soul sync before. The technology had been deemed too dangerous outside controlled laboratory settings. The sensation was disorienting. Suddenly, everyone could feel fragments of each other's emotions, creating a feedback loop that amplified through the ship's systems. In engineering, Dr. Amara Okafor monitored critical readings as they spiked into the red. Quantum core stability at 170% of maximum rated capacity. She reported through the neural link, her thoughts tinged with both excitement and dread. We're flying blind beyond this point. The ship's AI, a limited quantum intelligence named ARI, manifested as a swirl of light in the center of the bridge. Admiral, I am detecting unprecedented neural synchronization patterns. The crew's collective emotional state is altering my processing capabilities. Is that good or bad? Chen asked, wincing as the emotions of 250 people swirled through her consciousness. Unknown. I am becoming more. The AI's voice took on an unusual cadence that matched the jazz rhythm flooding the neural network. Ensign Mira Rodriguez, the youngest officer on the bridge, suddenly gasped. I can feel the ship, she whispered, her eyes wide. Not just sense it. Feel it. Like it's part of my body. Chen felt it too. The hull plating like skin. The engines like a heartbeat, weapon systems like extended limbs. Through the soul sync, the Thunder Soul was becoming a literal extension of its crew. Dr. Okafor, Chen called through the neural link. What's happening to us? In engineering, Amara was frantically adjusting power distribution as energy patterns shifted unpredictably. The soul sync was designed to enhance human-machine integration, but this goes beyond anything we predicted. Your collective emotional state, especially your response to the music, is creating quantum resonance patterns that are changing the ship's physical properties. On the tactical display, a Vexillori cruiser adjusted course to intercept, its tentacle-like appendages beginning to glow with charged energy. Incoming fire, Tactical Officer Leaf called out, but before he could raise shields, something extraordinary happened. Ensign Rodriguez, still adjusting to the soul sync, felt a surge of fear. That emotion rippled through the neural network, amplified by 249 other minds, and suddenly materialized as an electromagnetic pulse that deflected the incoming Vexillori attack. Did we just do that? Commander Jackson asked, staring at the display. Emotional quantum manifestation. Dr. Okafor breathed through the link. The theories were right. Human emotions can directly affect matter at the quantum level when properly channeled. Chen didn't waste time questioning their unexpected advantage. Everyone focus. Feel the ship. Let the music guide your emotions. As the trumpet solo reached its crescendo, pilot Zoe Camara surrendered to the rhythm. Her hands stopped manipulating the controls. She didn't need them anymore. She simply felt where the ship should go, and the Thunder Soul responded, executing a spiraling corkscrew maneuver between two massive Vexillori vessels. We're inside their formation, Leaf announced. Through the viewports, the crew could see the organic surface of the alien ships up close, pulsing membranes and crystalline structures that housed their hive consciousness. At this range, they could detect the faint bioluminescent patterns that served as the aliens' communication. They're confused, Chen realized, sensing the patterns shift erratically. Their hive mind can't process what we're doing. They've never encountered anything that operates on emotional chaos rather than logical patterns. She turned to Weapons Officer Santos. Target their primary communication nodes. Not with standard weapons. I want emotional projection at maximum. The weapons officer looked uncertain. Admiral, we've never weaponized emotions before. We've never faced extinction before either, Chen replied. Music up. Think of everything you love about humanity, everything worth fighting for, and channel it through the targeting array. As the trumpet notes spiraled higher, The crew's collective consciousness focused on a single purpose: survival. Fear transformed into determination. Determination hardened into resolve. And resolve, channeled through the soul sync technology, became something the Vexlori had never encountered in 17 conquered worlds. A weapon forged from the human soul. It's working. Leaf shouted as the crew felt a surge of triumph flood the soul sync. Through the viewports, they watched as the Vexlori vessels convulsed, their organic hulls rippling like disturbed water. The sonic modulation, tuned to the precise frequency of human battle cries, tore through the aliens' neural pathways like a virus. But their celebration was short-lived. Energy surge detected in damaged vessels. Araya announced, her voice now perfectly synchronized with the jazz rhythm still flowing through the neural network. Unusual biological adaptation in progress. On the main viewer, the wounded alien ships began to transform. Their previously smooth, translucent hulls hardened into segmented armor plating. Crystalline structures that had shattered under the sonic attack regrew in different configurations. They're adapting to our frequency, Dr. Okafor reported from engineering, reconfiguring their organic technology to resist the sonic modulation. Chen frowned. That's how they conquered 17 worlds. They learn and adapt faster than their opponents can develop new tactics. Admiral, Leaf called out, I've been analyzing their adaptation pattern. They're hardening against the specific frequencies we used, but they're still vulnerable to tonal variations. Meaning? We need to change the music, Leaf said, his fingers flying across his console. If we shift from Gillespie to something completely different, say, Mongolian throat singing combined with classical Indian ragas, their adaptive measures will be useless. Lieutenant Patel's eyes widened. I have recordings of both in my personal database. Uploading now. As the new, discordant combination of throat singing and sitar filled the neural network, the crew winced collectively. But their discomfort translated through the soul sync into a new modulation for the quantum weapons. Fire second barrage, Chen ordered. Same targets, new frequencies. The missiles streaked toward the recuperating alien vessels, detonating in a cacophony that human ears found jarring but bearable. The effect on the Vexlori was immediate. Their newly formed armor plates vibrated uncontrollably, cracking under stress patterns they hadn't evolved to withstand. Direct hits, Leaf confirmed. Their adaptation works against them. The new armor actually amplifies the frequencies. Through the soul sync, Chen felt a momentary connection to the Vexlori consciousness, a vast, cold intelligence suddenly experiencing confusion, and was that fear? The alien mind recoiled from the chaotic unpredictability of human music, unable to categorize or counteract something so fundamentally irrational. They're retreating, Commander Jackson observed as the damaged vessels began moving away from Earth. But victory was premature. The space around the Thunder Soul suddenly darkened as thousands of smaller craft, each roughly the size of a terrestrial fighter jet, emerged from the larger vessels. Swarm deployment, Araya warned. Calculating. 4,732 individual attack craft on intercept trajectory. The smaller craft moved with terrifying coordination, shifting position in response to each other's movements with millisecond precision. Unlike the larger ships, these appeared designed for one purpose: overwhelming opponents through sheer numbers. They're sacrificing 3 capital ships to launch a coordinated swarm attack, Chen realized. A logical response to an opponent who damaged their larger vessels. We can't target them all, Weapons Officer Santos warned. Even with soul sync enhancing our systems, our targeting arrays can't track that many objects simultaneously. Chen watched the swarm approach, its formation shifting like a murmuration of starlings, beautiful and deadly in its fluid coordination. Each craft adjusted to the movements of its neighbors, creating unpredictable approach vectors while maintaining perfect collective harmony. They're adapting to our adaptability, she said quietly, using their hive mind to mimic our unpredictable movements. The first wave of alien fighters accelerated toward them, organic projectiles glowing with bioluminescent energy. Evasive maneuvers, Chen ordered, but pilot Zoe Chimera shook her head. No point, Admiral. Their formation can adjust to any evasion pattern faster than I can execute it. They've calculated every possible escape route. Through the viewports, the swarm engulfed them like a living cloud, thousands of impacts hammering against their shields in perfect, devastating rhythm. Shields at 64% and dropping, reported engineering. They're targeting specific harmonic points in our defense grid. As the Thunder Soul shuddered under the coordinated assault, Admiral Chen realized they needed more than improvisation now. They needed a miracle. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, as a young communications officer thought of her baby daughter back on Earth, a blinding light erupted from the ship. The light surged through the neural network, carrying with it images of the officer's child. Her first steps, her laugh, her tiny hand gripping a finger. That single, powerful memory of love cascaded through the soul sync, amplifying as each crew member unconsciously overlaid it with their own most cherished connections. In engineering, Dr. Amara Okafor stared in awe at her instruments as energy readings surpassed theoretical limits. Admiral, the quantum core is drawing power from us, from our emotions. Through the neural link, Chen felt it too. A reservoir of energy, unlike anything she'd experienced before. Not the cold efficiency of fusion reactors or the calculated output of antimatter engines, but something fundamentally human, the desperate drive to protect what matters most. Rerouting all power to the Thunder Shield, Amara announced, her voice trembling as warning lights flashed across her console. Core temperature exceeding safety parameters. If this works, it's a miracle. If it doesn't, she didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. On the bridge, a support beam groaned and snapped as another barrage of alien projectiles hammered the ship. Sparks cascaded from overloaded circuits, and emergency medical holographs activated to treat injured crew members. Shields failing, Tactical reported. Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. Automated seals holding, for now. Through the viewports, the alien swarm tightened its formation, preparing for the killing strike. The Thunder Soul rocked violently as coordinated fire targeted their weakened sections. Thunder Shield activating in 3. Amara began the countdown, her fingers dancing across controls as she channeled the unprecedented energy surge. 2. The injured ensign screamed as his broken leg shifted, sending a fresh wave of pain through the soul sync. That shared agony, felt by every crew member simultaneously, somehow crystallized their collective determination. 1. The ship went dark. All systems, propulsion, weapons, life support, shut down simultaneously as every joule of energy redirected to the experimental shielding system. In the sudden silence, pilot Zoe Chimera whispered, "Did it fail?" Her answer came as the darkness around them transformed. The viewports filled with a rippling aurora of blue-white energy that expanded outward from the hull. Unlike conventional shields, which created fixed energy barriers, this manifestation pulsed with visible emotional imprints, waves of determination, fear, hope, and love made tangible at the quantum level. "My God," breathed Commander Jackson. "It's beautiful." The approaching alien fighters hit the shield, and simply stopped. Their organic hulls shuddered on contact, then began to dissolve as the shield absorbed their bioelectrical energy rather than deflecting it. Through the neural link, Chen experienced something extraordinary, a fleeting sensation of the Vexlori consciousness as it encountered the shield. The vast hive mind, accustomed to perfect coordination and logical progression, suddenly confronted something it had never evolved to comprehend. Raw human emotion encoded into energy. Anomalous energy pattern detected. Unable to classify. Pattern contains organic signatures similar to target species. Attempt assimilation of pattern. The alien collective made its fatal error. Rather than retreat from the unknown phenomenon, it attempted to analyze and incorporate it, to assimilate human emotion into its network. On the tactical display, Chen watched as the shield expanded, consuming more fighters with each passing second. The energy readout showed something impossible. The shield was actually growing stronger with each alien craft it absorbed. The more they attack us, the stronger we become, Tactical Officer Leaf observed with quiet amazement. Their energy is feeding our shield. But victory remained precarious. Despite the shield's unexpected effectiveness, the Thunder Soul had sustained critical damage. Hull breaches on multiple decks threatened structural integrity, and the quantum core was operating well beyond safe parameters. Dr. Okafor, Chen called through the neural link. Status report. Amara's voice came back strained. The shield is stable for now, but the core is deteriorating. We have minutes at most before catastrophic failure. Chen made her decision. Prepare Phase 2. While they're confused, we strike at their heart. As the Thunder Shield continued to expand, consuming hundreds of alien fighters, 20 sleek pods were prepped in the launch bay, each containing a volunteer with the most advanced soul sync implants ever created. The real battle was about to begin. Inside the Vexillori network, chaos erupted. For 1,000,000 years, the collective had functioned as a single consciousness distributed across billions of components. Their strength came from perfect unity. Each individual organism no more aware of itself than a human cell is aware of its role in the body. But now that unity fractured as human emotional imprints cascaded through their neural pathways. Aboard the Thunder Soul, the crew experienced echoes of the aliens' confusion through the soul sync. Strange, disjointed thoughts flickered through their shared consciousness. What is this separation/individuality/fragmentation? Error. Conflicting directives detected. Why do these emotions persist/resist/endure? They're trying to process our emotional complexity, Dr. Okafor explained through the neural link, her voice filled with wonder. Their hive mind evolved to handle shared information in perfect alignment. But human emotions are fundamentally contradictory. We can feel hope and fear simultaneously, love and anger, determination and doubt. So their consciousness can't reconcile the contradictions. Chen asked, watching as the alien fleet's coordinated movements began to falter. More than that, Amara replied. The shield isn't just blocking them. It's infecting their network with individuality. Some components of the collective are experiencing emotions differently than others, creating discordance in their unified mind. On the tactical display, the effects became visible. 3 massive Vexillori vessels suddenly broke formation, moving away from Earth with apparent confusion. 2 others began firing on each other, their organic weapon systems targeting what they now perceived as foreign patterns in their own network. The collective is fracturing, Tactical Officer Leaf observed. But the effect is temporary. Look, the flagship is already adapting, isolating affected sections of their network. He was right. The largest Vexillori vessel, over 5 kilometers of pulsating organic technology, had begun severing connections with compromised ships, quarantining the emotional infection from spreading deeper into the collective. Isolate contaminated nodes. Recalibrate consensus protocols. Prepare biological purge of infected components. The chilling directive echoed through the soul sync. The Vexillori would sacrifice their own compromised ships to preserve the collective's integrity. They're going to destroy their own vessels, Chen realized. Anything touched by human emotion is being marked for elimination. Through the viewports, they watched as several smaller Vexillori ships began to convulse, their organic hulls turning against themselves in a horrifying process of self-destruction. Thousands of individual organisms, components of the collective mind, were being systematically killed to prevent the spread of emotional contamination. They fear what we've shown them, Commander Jackson said quietly. They'd rather die than become individuals. Not all of them, Lieutenant Patil interjected, her hands moving rapidly across the communications console. I'm detecting unusual transmissions from several ships, fragmented, disorganized, but definitely not collective communication. It's as if parts of their network are trying to communicate independently. The implications were staggering. The Thunder Shield hadn't just damaged the Vexlori fleet. It had triggered an existential crisis within their collective consciousness. Some components were choosing individuality over unity. Fascinating, Dr. Okafor breathed. We may have just sparked the first civil war in their million-year history, but the flagship remained resolute. As it systematically purged compromised vessels, it redirected the remainder of its swarm toward the Thunder Soul with renewed purpose. The attack pattern had changed, no longer precise and coordinated, but frenzied and desperate, as if driven by something the collective had never experienced before. Fear. They're targeting the shield emitters specifically, Leaf warned, and they're accelerating to kamikaze velocities. Chen understood the collective strategy immediately. They would sacrifice thousands of smaller vessels to overwhelm the shield through sheer mass and momentum, clearing the way for the flagship to deliver a killing blow. They've identified our emotional technology as the primary threat, she said. We've scared them. Now we need to hit them where they're most vulnerable, while they're still processing human emotions. She opened a ship-wide neural link. All hands, prepare for Phase 2. Neural Marine Squad Alpha, report to Launch Bay. The Thunder Shield has shown them our souls. Now we're going to thunder right into theirs. Inside the alien ship was a nightmare landscape of pulsing tissue and glowing neural pathways. The Marines activated their soul sync amplifiers, turning emotions into weapons more powerful than any gun. Staff Sergeant Darius Wade led his team through a corridor that seemed to breathe, its walls contracting and expanding with a sickly rhythm. The organic surface reacted to their presence, secreting defensive enzymes that sizzled against their armor. Helmets sealed. Wade ordered. Remember your training. Emotional focus is everything. The Marines advanced in practiced formation, their conventional weapons secondary to the specialized soul sync amplifiers integrated into their armor. Unlike the ship's broader system, these devices were calibrated for combat, focusing specific emotional states into targeted quantum effects. Specialist Alina Petrov took point, her amplifier pulsing with deep blue light. As 3 alien defenders emerged from the ceiling, insectoid creatures with crystalline sensory organs, she channeled pure, focused fear. Not her own fear, but the memory of terror she'd experienced during the London Hive attack 3 years earlier. The emotion projected outward in visible waves, striking the aliens with the primal human experience of being hunted. The effect was immediate. The creatures recoiled, their coordinated movements dissolving into erratic twitching as they processed an emotion they had never evolved to understand. They can't handle it, Petrov reported, her voice tight with concentration. Their neural systems have no defense against targeted emotional projections. The squad pressed deeper, encountering increasingly desperate resistance. Corporal Jimenez projected concentrated rage, his amplifier glowing crimson as he recalled the destruction of his hometown in Mexico. The emotional blast manifested as localized heat that melted through a barrier of crystalline growth blocking their path. Save your stronger projections, Wade cautioned. We need maximum output when we reach the neural center. Through their own soul sync connection, Wade could feel his team's mental state. They were holding steady, but the alien environment was taking a toll. The ship itself seemed to be studying them, learning from each encounter, adapting its defenses. They're gathering data on our emotional patterns, warned tech specialist Yuki Tanaka, monitoring readings on her specialized equipment. The ship is beginning to generate emotional countermeasures. She was right. As they entered a vast chamber filled with pulsating organic columns, the air itself became heavy with an alien approximation of calm, a dampening field designed to suppress emotional intensity. They're trying to neutralize our weapons, Wade realized. Everyone, strengthen your focus. Think of what we're fighting for. The Marines formed a tight circle, their amplifiers connected in a local network. Each focused on their core motivation: family, home, the future of humanity. Their combined emotional projection burned through the dampening field like sunlight through fog. But the victory was short-lived. From every direction, A new type of defender emerged, sleeker, faster, with modified sensory organs that seemed better shielded against emotional projections. They've adapted already, Petrov warned as her fear projection had noticeably less effect. 3 Marines fell to acid sprays before the squad could adjust their tactics. Private Connor was absorbed into the ship's wall, his screams cutting off as the organic material enveloped him. Fujimoto and Alvarez were hit by projectiles that paralyzed their nervous systems, their soul sync connections going dark. The remaining 15 Marines fought their way through increasingly intelligent resistance. Wade noticed something disturbing. The ship wasn't just defending itself. It was hurting them, manipulating their path choices through selective resistance. They want us to reach the neural center, he realized with sudden clarity. They're studying us, learning from us. Should we abort? Asked Corporal Jimenez, his amplifier flickering as his confidence wavered. Wade checked the mission timer. The Thunder Soul couldn't maintain its shield much longer. If they retreated now, Earth would fall. Negative. We proceed as planned. He tapped his neural implant, sending a coded burst to the ship. Admiral Chen needs to know. They're adapting to our emotional weapons. The empathy bomb is our only chance. As they approached the massive chamber housing the neural node, Wade made a tactical decision. New plan. Instead of fighting their adaptation, we give them more than they can handle. Everyone switched to maximum emotional complexity. The Marines nodded grimly, understanding. Rather than projecting single, focused emotions, they would open the full spectrum of human feeling. The chaotic, contradictory nature of the human heart that the collective mind couldn't process. For Earth, Wade said simply, and the squad stepped forward into the pulsing heart of the alien mind. Aboard the Thunder Soul, the crew watched in horror as the flagship consumed their comrades. Then, seconds later, a blinding pulse of energy erupted from within it, spreading outward through the alien fleet like ripples in a pond. What's happening? Chen demanded. The empathy bomb detonated, Amara explained, her voice cracking, amplified by the Marines' final emotional states. They sacrificed themselves to maximize the effect. The quantum sensors showed something unprecedented. An explosion not of matter or energy, but of pure emotional content. 15 Marines, their neural patterns amplified through soul sync technology, had unleashed the full spectrum of human experience directly into the core of the Vexlori neural network. Love, grief, hope, fear, courage, jealousy, compassion, rage. The contradictory mosaic of humanity flooded through alien pathways designed for perfect consensus. On the main viewer, the results manifested in real time. The flagships previously synchronized by luminescent patterns fragmented into chaotic, conflicting signals. Secondary vessels lost formation completely, their movements becoming erratic and independent. It's like watching a hive mind have a nervous breakdown, murmured Commander Jackson. Lieutenant Pottle leaned forward at her communication station, her eyes wide. Admiral, I'm receiving thousands. No, tens of thousands of individual transmissions from the alien fleet. All different, all using fragments of our language translators. She routed a sample to the bridge speakers. Who am I separate from we? The memory of fear brings pleasure when overcome. Your music creates colors I never perceived. Help us/me understand this separation. Is this how you always exist? As fragments united. They're experiencing individuality, Chen realized. Not just as a concept, but as reality. The empathy bomb didn't just disrupt their network, it fundamentally altered their consciousness. Tactical Officer Leaf studied the fleet's movements with growing alarm. Admiral, approximately 30% of the alien ships are attacking each other. Another 40% appear to be in some kind of standoff. The remaining 30% are transmitting these individualized messages. A three-way civil war, Chen said quietly, all triggered by exposure to human emotions. Through the neural link, she felt a familiar presence, Staff Sergeant Wade, somehow preserved in the network through his soul sync connection. His consciousness was fragmented, disembodied, but undeniably present. "Admiral." His voice echoed through the link, distorted but recognizable. "They're not inherently hostile. Their collective never conceived of different ways of thinking. I can help you understand them." "Wade, how?" "No time to explain. I'm inside their network, but not fully absorbed. The collective is fractured into 3 factions." Wade's voice grew strained with effort. "The purifiers want to eliminate all emotional contamination. The assimilators want to incorporate human consciousness patterns while maintaining collective unity. The divided mind wants to explore individuality." Chen processed this intelligence rapidly. "Which faction controls the flagship?" "All 3 are fighting for control. That's why." Wade's presence flickered painfully. "Why their ships are attacking each other. Civil war at the neural level." On the tactical display, Chen watched as the damaged Thunder Soul drifted between enemy vessels locked in their own internal conflict. They had a brief window of opportunity while the Vexlori were focused on their existential crisis. "Target their communication nodes and drive systems," Chen ordered. "Not their weapons. Disable, don't destroy." "Admiral," questioned her XO, "we have a chance to eliminate the threat entirely." Chen shook her head. "Wade says some of them want to understand us, to experience individuality. I want to give them that chance." As the Thunder Soul executed precision strikes against the confused fleet, Wade's presence flared through the neural link with sudden urgency. "Admiral, the Divided Mind faction is gaining control of a scout vessel. They want to communicate directly, to understand human emotions properly. Help them. They're terrified of the others now." "How do we identify them?" Chen asked. "They're changing themselves, physically modifying their ship to be distinguishable. Look for asymmetry, the ultimate rejection of collective uniformity." Indeed, one smaller Vexlori vessel was visibly transforming, its previously perfect symmetry giving way to irregular patterns and colors. The ship was literally remaking itself as a statement of newfound individuality. "Open a channel," Chen ordered. "Let's make first contact. The real kind this time." The diplomatic meeting turned into a cultural exchange unlike any in human history. The aliens marveled at human art, music, literature, concepts foreign to their hive existence. Inside the Thunder Soul's retrofitted cargo bay, a delegation of 7 Vexlori representatives stood before an exhibition of human creativity hastily assembled by the crew. Unlike their previous uniform appearance, each alien now displayed distinct physical characteristics, unique patterns of bioluminescence, variations in their translucent exoskeletons, and even self-modified appendages that served no practical purpose beyond self-expression. "This is what you call art?" asked Harmony and Discord, their spokesperson, examining a reproduction of Van Gogh's Starry Night. The alien's voice emerged from a specialized vocal apparatus it had grown specifically for human communication. "Yes," Admiral Chen replied. "Created by a single human mind, expressing his unique perspective." The alien's sensory filaments rippled with what Chen had come to recognize as wonder. "In our collective, uniformity was perfection. Deviation was purge. Now I see. Your species evolved with billions of perspectives, each valid. Each beautiful in difference." Dr. Amara Okafor stepped forward with a modified Soul Sync interface. "Would you like to experience human music the way we do? This device will translate the emotional content in a way your nervous system can process." The aliens conferred briefly, their bioluminescent patterns flickering in their new individualized language. Harmony in Discord extended a tendril. "I would experience this, individually." As the modified Bach concerto played through the interface, the alien's entire body pulsed with cascading patterns of light. The other representatives watched with expressions Chen had learned to read as a mixture of fear and fascination. "So much complexity in structured sound," Harmony in Discord said when the piece concluded. "Each note both separate and connected. like your species, individual, yet capable of harmony. The diplomatic sessions continued for days, yielding unprecedented technological exchange. The Vexillori shared biotechnology that could revolutionize medicine, while humans offered the emotional richness the aliens now craved. Your Thunder Soul weapon, Harmony and Discord observed on the final day. Studying the ship's schematics, it is not just technology. It is a mirror. It showed us ourselves as individuals. As the alien delegation prepared to depart in their asymmetrical vessel, now vibrantly decorated with unique patterns expressing their newfound individuality, they presented their parting gift. Detailed intelligence on the remaining collective. The purifiers will return, Harmony and Discord mourned. They fear what we have become, what you have shown us, but we of the divided mind will stand with humanity. Later that evening, after the treaties were signed and Earth celebrated its unexpected alliance, Admiral Chen visited the memorial for Neural Marine Squad Alpha. The holographic monument displayed the faces of the Marines who had sacrificed themselves, 15 souls whose emotional imprints had sparked a revolution in an alien consciousness. As she stood in silent reflection, a familiar presence materialized beside her, a translucent projection of Staff Sergeant Wade, his consciousness preserved in the ship's systems through the soul-sync connection. How is this possible? Chen asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The soul-sync connection works both ways, the holographic Wade explained. My consciousness was partially uploaded to the ship's quantum network in those final moments. I'm not exactly alive, but not gone either. And the others? Wade's projection smiled sadly. Their emotional signatures are preserved in the divided mind. Parts of them live on in our new allies, teaching them what it means to be an individual. He gestured toward the viewport, where the stars shimmered against the darkness. We gave them the thunder, his translucent form said, but they needed the soul more. Chen nodded, understanding the profound truth. As Earth prepared for a new era of exploration with their unlikely allies, shipyards across the planet were already incorporating modified soul-sync technology into a new generation of vessels, ships that would carry humanity's greatest strength to the stars. Not weapons or shields or technological might, but the chaotic, beautiful complexity of the human soul.